So hello and welcome back to the Champ.ie Racing Podcast as we look ahead to Guineas weekend, Irish Guineas weekend, of course, after a fantastic couple of days at Newmarket, Leopardstown. We're delighted to be joined on the podcast by Mr. Ronan Groome from the Irish Field once again, Andrew Blair White from the Blair White Blog, and of course we have an interview with Shane Foley, who rides Albigna in the 1000 Guineas this weekend upcoming. So we'll just hear from Shane very quickly, and then we'll come back and chat to the lads ahead of Irish Guineas weekend. So delighted to have man at the moment in the weighing room, Mr. Shane Foley on the Champ.ie podcast as we look ahead to Irish Guineas weekend. Shane, a treble at Naas on Monday. I think it paid 2,403 to 1. Fantastic start. 2 winners again today, including the Heritage Stakes. I must say congratulations to you. You couldn't have asked for a better start heading into Irish Guineas weekend.
No, it was very good. It was a great start. It was actually a 4-timer on Monday. I won the last as well, so it ended up being a 13,000 to 1 accumulator, I think. So, it's been a great start, thank God. Brilliant
stuff. And Albigna, of course, is the horse, I suppose, that you've made no secret, Shane, of how much you adore her. And is it all systems going now for Saturday ahead?
Yeah, look, her prep has been fantastic. She's in great shape. Look, I've kind of spoke very highly of her. It's only myself is going to be shot down, really. But no, look, she's a very good filly, and just hope she can show at the races what she's been showing me for the last 6 weeks. You know.
You nearly convinced Kevin O'Ryan to back her live on television today. She won a Group 1 over a mile in France on soft. Would you now be as confident she could be as good at this level on the ground, which is probably likely to be good to firm?
Yeah, look, obviously she won in France, but look, to be honest with you, I think I should have won the Fillies Mile in Santa Anita as well, and that was completely opposite ground. That was firm ground, so I think she's very versatile that way, and I just think that obviously she likes the Curragh and that. So look, I'm just very hopeful. I don't think Jessie can have the filly in any better form than she's in, and just hope all going well. Look, at the end of the day, she's a chestnut filly, and that's all has to be played into perspective. But her homework has been second to none all along, and she's in great shape.
And I suppose down the line, Shane, it's in her pedigree that she may stay further, and all going well on Saturday. Would you be looking to her for maybe something like an Oaks?
Yeah, well, look, we get Saturday out of the way first and see how that goes, and Jessie and Alan and Maria will make a call. But I think she's a kind of filly, she relaxes that well in her races that she would give herself every chance of getting a mile and a half. So look, at obviously it'll be an option if she does go and do herself justice on Saturday, but please God she will.
And Shane, just for same connections, the Narcos family, you ride free solo in the 2000 Guineas, which is scheduled for Friday. He's only run twice, and I suppose the form of the Durnstown winner has worked out quite well. Are you hopeful of a big run?
Yeah, look, the form got a big kick there yesterday. So, look, he's a horse that doesn't excite us at home. He didn't excite us last year. He came alive at the races. Physically, he's done really well from 2 to 3. And we can have him as fit as he is now. So I think he will improve a bit, but we can't gallop him anymore. So he's going there in good shape, and it'll be interesting to see can he make that step up to that next level. But he likes fast ground. He stayed the mile well, so we're hopeful in what might be the strongest Guineas in the world. If you take Siskin out, I think it's very open, you know.
Yeah, and the Irish Lincolnshire, of course, on Friday as well. You ride Toran Shaman, a Shammerdal 4-year-old. He's rated 96 now. How would you rate his chances, I suppose, coming into this one? It's a competitive-looking handicap. Could he develop into a nice sort, maybe over 100 by the end of the season?
Yeah, maybe so. I'm hopeful. He's a horse that's only had 3 runs. He won his first 2 starts, and he ran in very heavy ground in France, and he hated it. But his work has been good. And we're happy with him. It's the biggest field he's ever going to occur in that. So, but we're happy with him, and we could see him progress. I think he could be a lively outsider in the Lincoln.
Fantastic. I think he's something like 8 to 1 at the moment. The last they checked, 2019 was your best season on the track, Shane, with 76 winners in total. Correct me now if I'm wrong. I know it's a strange sort of year. You've had a great start. Have you had any thoughts, I suppose, of being Irish champion jockey?
Look, we're only on a week. I know we're 3 months into the season, but we're really only a week into the season. I just want to keep riding once the horses are healthy and well, and keep riding as many winners as we can and riding in good races. And if it comes to the time where you're going close to that thing, obviously well and good, yes, you'd take it with 2 hands, but at the moment it's about riding winners and about riding good horses, so and I'm happy to do that.
Brilliant. And finally, Shane, now I know you probably haven't looked towards next week with Irish Guineas weekend obviously taking all your focus, but is Jessie likely to send anything to Royal Ascot next week?
We could have a couple. Maybe Alpine Star might go for the Coronation. She's in the Irish Guineas, the Fillies Guineas as well, but she might go for the Coronation. Mill Isle might head back for the Commonwealth Cup. Master of Foxhounds has entered in the Hampton Court. There's a few there, but just with our season, it'll be too quick for any 2-year-olds to go back. I don't think they're ready to go after running just the other day and run back a week later. So maybe Alpine and Middle Isle. So I'll leave that up to Jessie. But look, it'd be nice to be there. But obviously with this whole quarantine and that, it kind of makes things a bit difficult for us. But look, hopefully if them restrictions were lifted, it might mean that I might be able to go if we did have a run or two.
Shane, look, listen, thanks very much for speaking to us on the Champ.ie podcast ahead of Irish Guineas weekend. Shane, thanks very much for your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck for this weekend on Albigna and for the season ahead.
Thanks a million.
Thanks very much, Shane. Fantastic to hear from Shane there, lads. Listen, we'll rattle straight into the racing this weekend. So the 2,000 Guineas, of course, lads, is on Friday. And Siskin, we spoke about it in the flat season preview. He's 9-4 favourite now, unbeaten, of course, in 4 for Ger Lyons. He's rated 114. I suppose everything was against him on his last run in the Phoenix on soft ground. Andrew, I'll come to you first. You mentioned Armory as as an alternative. Would you have an issue with Siskin's stamina, and would you still be with Armory at this stage?
I think I would be, yeah, Barry. I'm just dubious about taking the price on Siskin for when you know the stamina is a doubt. I wouldn't begrudge Siskin winning. I like the horse. I just see him more as a 6-7 furlong horse, so I couldn't back him. Armory's gotten short enough now. He's around 7-2, second 5, but he's got solid form. The last day, as I was saying on the flat preview podcast, you know, that form of Victor Ludorum looks very strong now. One I'd put up at a bit of a price. I wasn't sure whether he was actually going to get confirmed to run. Is Free Solo. I know Jessie and Shane Foley have a probably much better chance in the 1,000 Guineas. But this horse, I was actually at Leopardstown when he won his maiden, and the form of that's actually worked out quite well. Cormorant was beaten 8 or 9 lengths in that race, and he won the Darrenstown only yesterday. So he might be one. I think he's around 20-1 still. He might be one that could hit the frame.
Yeah, lads, but that's fair enough, Andrew. I thought it was interesting that Shamey Heffernan is riding Lope White Fernandez, and there has been a bit of money for him. So it'll be interesting to see if Armory holds his price, and if I suppose Shamey's selection could maybe shorten. Ronan, what was your thoughts on Siskin? You weren't. I think you said it was 4-6 shot that he doesn't stay in the 1,000 Guineas. Are you sticking with that?
Yeah, I think there's a bigger worry with Siskin. Not that he won't stay, but more. I think if you're going through his form now, you're looking at Monarch of Egypt a lot. The Monarch of Egypt is a 20-1 shot for this race, because he got beaten on his next 2 starts. Now, I can see why people would be crabbing Siskin's form. He only beat that horse by half a length in the Phoenix, and I think Siskin is probably better judged if you go back to the railway run, where he's much more impressive. Fast ground probably will be important to him, I think. I just think he's a bit skinny at 9-4. I just think he's short. You mentioned Armory. I thought he's got beaten 3 times now in Group 1s. You know, he's an early 2-year-old as well. It's interesting, as you say, that Shamey rides Lope Fernandez. He's been riding, obviously the O'Brien team have been in sensational form, and he's been riding a lot of them. He rode More Beautiful and Elfin Queen and the good 2-year-old that won today. So it's interesting he's pumped for Lope Fernandez. I thought he got better as he went down in trip last year, though. The one I've gone for, Barry, at a bit of a price is Sinoan. I think could be the bit of value that's left in the market. He was a late 2-year-old, finished 5th first time out, and then won at the Curragh over the course and distance, the Guineas course and distance. And then I think he ran really well in the Champions Juvenile race at Leopardstown on Irish Champions Weekend. If you watch that race again, it's a funny angle to watch it when you watch it back, because it was one of those cameras from the car. But he actually gets caught just in a little pocket as Tony Mullen's horse, Howling Wolf, was the rag of that race, and he just kind of fallen backwards. Just a second. I thought he could have got a lot closer to Mogul, but for that. That was only his 3rd run. That was a huge leap forward from his maiden. So I just thought at 12-1, Mick Halford says is pretty bullish about him. Now, bearing in mind, he did actually say he would have liked to have had a run, but everyone's in the same camp there. He says he's the best 3-year-old in his yard. I just think in a Guineas that doesn't look, an Irish Guineas that doesn't look the strongest. And
yeah, you mentioned about Michael Halford saying about getting the run. I think he was more keen to get a run into the filly in the 1000 Redenza than he was Cinnamon. So yeah, maybe a player. I did like Lope Fernandez. I thought he got better as the season went on. He obviously finished ahead of Monarch of Egypt as well. You mentioned him, Ronan. So, so the form does tie in a little bit. And I think 6-1 that's still available. I think he could shorten in price right up into the day. And the nearer the time comes, the weaker it'll become on Siskin. And yeah, you mentioned about Michael Halford saying about getting the run. I think he was more keen to get a run into the filly in the 1000 Redenza than he was Cinnamon. So yeah, maybe a player. I did like Lope Fernandez. I thought he got better as the season went on. He obviously finished ahead of Monarch of Egypt as well. You mentioned him, Ronan. So, so the form does tie in a little bit. And I think 6-1 that's still available. I think he could shorten in price right up into the day. And the nearer the time comes, the weaker it'll become on Siskin. And I do think, even if you look at it, the dam side, like the dam of Siskin, you're basically going on what Colin Keane was saying, that he thinks he's the best horse he's ever ridden, when we spoke to Colin in the season preview. But just a little bit short, as you said, Ron, at 9-4. So I think 6-1 will do me on Lope Fernandez. Lads, on Friday the 12th, obviously the Irish Lincolnshire, that's scheduled for 7:15. Colin Keane rides the favourite here, 4-1 for Adrian McGuinness. Had you thoughts, Ronan?
Yeah. Look, 1800 handicap, hugely competitive, and the one I've come down on is the favourite. So there's no, there's no originality there at all. I just think he's the most solid.
That wouldn't make it fairness here. Usually looking for a bit more value, but go on.
Yeah, I know, and maybe when they get closer to the race, I will find something. I just thought he was pretty solid. 7 starts, never been outside of the top 3. 3 starts for Aidan McGuinness last season. Second in a really good handicap over the course and distance to Jassar, who was a bit of a revelation last season, and Numerian, who actually finished 3rd and has gone on to frank that form subsequently in a good handicap, and obviously earlier this year as well. Current Option himself then went on to win on Irish Champions Weekend. I just think he's a son of Camelot, a 4-year-old now. I just think he's a bit more in the tank, and a bit more improvement to come from. He's only had 7 starts, 3 for Aidan McGuinness. And he definitely should be favourite, I think, in a field of horses that are largely well exposed. There's only a few in there that you'd really think are potentially progressive horses, and he looks the most obvious one. So he was the one I came down on.
If you were putting up the favourite, Ron, I'm going to have to put up the second favourite. And another unexposed type, a 4-year-old, Dermot Wells. Bashir, 6-1 now, currently in the market. Best price. Andrew Slattery takes off £5. Lads, he won at Galway, obviously, over a mile. I think, everything suggested about that win that he might be better going up in trip, and that was, he's never raced on ground like he's going to encounter on Friday. But the dam was quite good, actually. She was rated 105 at her best, and she won a Group 3 on Good to Firm for John Ox at Leopardstown in her time. So he's obviously by Invincible Spirit. I thought he was the interesting one. Again, Ronan, you're looking for these horses who can progress from maybe 4-year-old has thrown up plenty of winners of this. Andrew, your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually was going to side with Aidan McGuinness's other horse in this, Barman. I think Ronan Whelan takes the ride. Quite odd, he actually went over and ran in Cancer Mare in a listed race where Pierre-Charles Boudot rode him and he came second.
Andrew, I just love your French.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to work on it, you know.
I love the way you said Marcel Boussier in the first podcast, but go on.
I'm working on it.
Did you do French in school?
Yeah, I did, unfortunately. But look, he had a great time of things at Dundalk over the winter. He won a few rated races. He won off marks of up to 94 for Roger Varian in England. He's running off 97 here. Look, he's near the top of the weight. He's a 6-year-old. He probably doesn't have as much room for improvement as your two horses, but he's probably coming here in the form of his life. He couldn't be in better nick, and you know he's going to probably be bang there and run his race. So him at around the 8-9 to 1 mark will do me.
So definitely, lads, towards the head of the market for Lincolnshire. The last race, of course, on Friday is the Moorsbridge Stakes, 7:45, Group 2. The big omission here, lads, is Mad Moon. Andrew, I think you were a fan last year.
Yeah, it was. Look, he's an excellent horse. Hopefully we can get to see him out sometime this year and hopefully get that Group 1 win into him, because he probably deserves it. He was very unlucky in the Derby, but it does take away, unfortunately, slightly from this race.
Yeah, and Search for a Song is rated 116 now. Of course, the Ledger winner last year. I was on her that day. I thought, oh my God, that was some performance. You know, to beat Kew Gardens, and you know, it's no shortage of tactical spreed as well from the front. Good to firm that day. And I'll come to you. Do you think Search for a Song can, I suppose, serve it up to these? She won first time out last year.
Yeah, she's coming back to 10.5 furlongs, Barry. So maybe is that the worry with her. She really came into her own that day at the Curragh and going on from the front. I wonder would they try and just pitch her off in front and see catch me if you can sort of thing. Maybe that might be the thing to do. I just had this race down as a load of horses that are making their seasonal debut and are probably going to be better over further. You know, the likes of Latrobe, Fleeting. Fleeting, amazingly. I was just looking at her profile there, beaten a length and a half or less in 5 Group 1s last season. She was just that type of horse. Yeah. I just don't think a race like this is going to suit her, that they might go slow or something like that. She's going to have to come off the pace. And the most obvious one, if you think the race is going to end up like that, might be slowly run, might be, a very much an early season kind of Group 2. Numerian makes the most appeal because he's already had a run, likes to be ridden forward, and things could just fall. The ball could just bounce for him the way he could just be the best suited horse to the race. He's won at the Curragh, or he's ran very well at the Curragh before in those handicaps last season, and he looked like he might have progressed further when he won that listed Devoy Stakes at Naas, just the last meeting there before we had the lockdown. So Numerian, I thought, was the most obvious one. Just the way the race, he mightn't be the best of these going forward, but just the way the race might just pan out for him.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Andrew, your thoughts on the Moorsbridge Stakes?
Yeah, I hate to be boring, but I'd be with Ronan here. Some of these early season races, you do need somebody that can be maybe a bit more versatile. Like even today, that Heritage Stakes, Ancient Spirit won it. Probably he's not the best horse out of them, but he was kind of the most ready on the day. And a lot of these, they just seem to be a bit nearly, like Fleeting is... She's an excellent horse, but she's a nearly horse, and she very, very rarely gets her head in front. A lot of these will need further in time, and perhaps Numerian is the play at an each way price as well. That he's the tuned up one and could capitalise on it being maybe a little bit weak.
Yeah, lads, I would be a little bit more positive than the 2E, I suppose, on Search for a Song's chance. Ron, I think that's probably what they will do. They will go handy with Good to Firm on debut last year at Fairyhouse. She was backed off the boards that day, 4-6, to win at Fairyhouse. I think, she handles the ground, and I just thought she would have a chance here, first time up for Dermot Weld. And I get what you're saying, she probably is going to be better as the season goes on over further, but definitely one. I think at 4-1, it might be the value in here. The 1,000 guineas, lads, on Saturday. We spoke to Shane Foley. He couldn't be more bullish about Albigna. Even today on Racing TV with Kevin O'Ryan, he nearly convinced Kevin to back it. 4-7 now, 7-4 now, Andrew. Thoughts on the Irish Guineas and Albigna?
Yeah, I think we'll be looking at this race come the end of Saturday, thinking 7-4 was the biggest value we're going to see all year. I think this filly's absolutely different gravy. I think she's got more speed than people give her credit for. I think people see that she won the pre-Marcel Boussac on heavy ground and kind of see her maybe not having the gears, but I loved what she did in the Breeders' Cup. Actually, she got no run at all, and she absolutely flew home. I think she's the best filly in this race. If you're basing it on the market, they're not going to run Alpine Star against her, which is a bit of a shame. But because she probably would be the one to put it up to her the most, and I'd give a little squeak each way for Valeria Messalina. I know we talked about her a little bit. I think she could be a very good filly. She beat a horse I actually quite liked. For Mick O'Callaghan, called Now the King, who I was looking forward to seeing this year until I heard from somebody that he's actually now running out in Hong Kong with the name Delightful Late. So that scuppered my chances there. But anyway, Albigna, I think, will win this, and Valeria Messalina at an each-way price.
Andrew, and Ronan, I'll come on to you. Look, everything looks to be in this filly's favour. She won first time out last year to Curragh. She's won a Group 1 over a mile already, and we saw with the 1,000 guineas in England, that was I suppose a big stat there, that your filly would have to have had experience and ran over a mile at least once. So I think that would have to be a positive, Ronan. And, even on the dam side, the dam, it looks like she'll go further in time as well. So she may develop into an Oaks filly, although I know you like one for the Oaks. But thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think me and Andrew are looking at the same notes probably, because my rock solid one, I just think Albigna is rock solid. And the one I was going to give each way was Valeria Messalina. But look, Albigna is rock solid because you go back to that run in the early stud stakes where she's just done tremendously well to win over 6 furlongs, considering what she's done over a mile later in her 2-year-old career. She had an excuse for the run in the Mile Glare. She was in season that day, and then she's gone over to France, won really impressively, and then went back and watched her Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies turf run. Just got tapped for toe early and flew home. Not saying there was anything wrong with the ride or anything. I just think she was just on fast ground. It all happened too quick for her early, quick bend and things like that. Just flew home. She, really eye-catching the way she finished off a race, and probably one of the best fillies in that race. I just think she's rock solid here. More conventional track like the Curragh. Like if you're taking her on, like you're looking at, Peaceful, who she attracted a bit of money for Newmarket last season or last week and didn't run. Form doesn't look up to much really. You're putting your faith in Aidan O'Brien, and the vibes from Ballydoyle are good, and albeit obviously Ballydoyle have been flying since we started back. Fancy Blue, unbeaten in 2 starts for Donica. Just a listed win for her in the Staffordstown. She only scrambled home that day, and it just didn't look the strongest field after that. Redenza is a horse, a filly a lot of judges like. I know I spoke to Gary O'Gorman, the flat handicapper, for an interview earlier in the season, and I asked him for one. And the flat handicappers and the handicappers in general are the shrewdest judges in the game, and he gave me Redenza. He thought she could be one to follow this season.
She's so well bred as well, Ronan. Yeah. Just I think long term as well. Like I know she's by Ray Dara, who was a fancy filly for Michael Halford as well. I think she was rated over 100, and by Sea the Stars as well. Would she develop into maybe potential Irish Oaks filly?
Yeah, potentially. It's just that it's going to be her second start here, and it's just a big ask. She's off the track 300 days. She got an injury last season, I think, quite a serious injury.
She fractured. She came back lame. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. So she's coming back off that. It was interesting to see there was quite a bit of money for Gerald Lyons' filly Rock Aroma.
You're reading my notes, are you?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna talk her up. I just think it's crazy. I mean, coming off the back of just having finished second on her sole maiden, let you talk her up if you like, Barry. But I just didn't
absolutely no way
what's coming from. But I just quickly make a case for Valeria Messalina again. Just thought she showed a really good attitude first time out in Ace, then went over on just her second run and ran huge in Newmarket, second in the So Sharp Stakes, a Group 3. She was just finishing that race out really well. she's a late 2-year-old, so she should be coming into her own now. And I just thought she had the progress and the type of filly that has a good attitude, that she could, fight her way into the frame or something like that, and maybe get closest to Albigna. So that was the reason there.
Yeah, Rocca Roma, the filly you mentioned for Geraldines, fascinating. She's still a maiden, and she ran on soft ground. But you might remember the County Meath syndicate Rocca Tumu, who won the Britannia Stakes for Joanna Morgan all those years ago. Same syndicate, same mare, and the mare, believe it or not, actually, she ran over hurdles, so wouldn't be the sort of pedigree you'd be looking at for a 1,000 guineas. But fascinating, as you said, to see the money come. I think Rosenza is definitely the one to, as the season goes on, I think she may develop into an Oaks filly. But Albigna, as we said, lads, looks absolutely rock solid here, and will be with her at myself anyway at 7-4. The return of Magical, Andrew Blair White. What can she achieve this season? She's probably going to be very short for this.
Yeah, she is going to be very short. Look, she's been a brilliant mare, and if Enable wasn't around, we'd probably think she would be an absolute superstar. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Min with Altior sort of thing. It's obviously an excellent horse. I wouldn't be wading in at really short odds though for this race. Though she hasn't run over a mile since September 2018. Like she's another one of these horses. She's a mile 2, mile 4 horse. She look, I suspect she's probably still going to be too good. But one I think could run a good race is Silk Forest for Paddy Toomey. He won a listed race at the back end of last year. He won the Garnet Stakes by 5 lengths. She looks very progressive, and look, she could run into a place in this race. It would be one I'd be looking for an each way angle rather than wading in at short odds.
Absolutely. Yes, Magical will be very short. Ronan Groome, had you any thoughts on this race? Any alternative to hit the places?
Yeah, it's just dealing with entries at this point, so I'm not sure who's going to run. Hammerina obviously caught the eye there for Mick Halford. She probably ran a nice race in the first day at Naas. What's that race? The Park Express. Stayed on nice there, so she'd have a fitness edge, and you'd probably be right to have a little legitimate concern about Magical over the mile trip. So just don't know what's going to run. Obviously, Paddy Toomey is a trainer everyone should follow. Stats are just off the chart. He's really selective with the horses that he runs, and if Silk Forest did rock up here, yeah, she could be very interesting. But yeah, just a little bit of a guessing game at the moment. But yeah, you would probably be wary of taking out of back in Magical, long odds on back at this mile, considering how good she was over 12 furlongs and 10 furlongs last season.
Brilliant. And I suppose with lots of the focus on the Curragh this weekend, and of course Royal Ascot next week, which will be releasing our podcast on Monday. Is there anything else, I suppose, this weekend, lads, in that, I suppose, the gap in the middle, Doncaster, Newmarket, Goodwood? Andrew, is there anything else entered up that catches your eye?
Yeah, well, I've two, if I could have a look. On Sunday in Leopardstown, actually, in the Levmos Stakes, the mile 6 listed race. Very interested to see the return of Falcon 8. I think he could still turn into a pretty good stayer for Dermot Weld. He won a listed race at Sandown last year. And then also the Scurry Stakes over in Sandown, 5 furlong race. Very interesting to see how Sunday Sovereign runs. Was a very precocious early season 2-year-old for Paddy Toomey last year. Now owned by King Power and Roger Varian trains him. It'll be his first start of the season, but hopefully she could run well as well.
Best bets of the weekend, Mr. Andrew Blair White?
Well, I've one that you will absolutely love, Barry, because it is in the exact same colours as my favourite Gallant John Joe. It is the 4 o'clock on Curragh on
Andrew.
4 o'clock Curragh Saturday. Oliver McKiernan trains Presto. He won a bumper by 8 lengths. He then won a mile 6 furlong maiden on the flat to Party Playboy, who next time out finished second in the Cesarewitch. He was then outpaced off a mark of 91 over a mile 4 at Dundalk. Back to a mark of 88 over a 2-mile trip. I think this is a really good horse, actually. And I've got a soft spot for the connections.
Brilliant stuff, Andrew. Ronan Groome, I suppose anything at Doncaster, Newmarket, Goodwood, even at the Curragh, and followed by your best bet of the weekend.
Yeah, I haven't looked beyond the Curragh really, Barry, but I will put up a race that we haven't talked about yet, and that's on Saturday as well. Well, my best bet at the prices, I think, is Albigna at the moment, but another horse I'm hoping is declared in the Ragusa handicap is the winner that won it, the horse that won it last year, War Diary. He beat Steed Line in that race last season. Hasn't been seen since, but he changed hands to Mick Halford. I think they tried to sell him at the Irish Champions Weekend sale at the Goff sale in the parade ring there on Irish Champions Weekend at Leopardstown. I'm not sure if that's when he actually changed hands, but Paul Rooney owns him now. The green and black colours that you are synonymous with Mick Halford. I think this horse, he's a big horse. I remember doing a piece with John Murphy last year. He did a talk and trainer piece, and he just talked about how big the horse is, and that he'd be a horse that really improved in time. And he said at the time he was talking about running it at Galway, but then he said, "Oh, I don't know about Galway because I'm not sure the track would suit him. He's such a big horse." But he ended up running him there, and he ran fourth in the Guinness handicap there that Mr. Adjudicator won on the Friday night. So bearing in mind what John Murphy was saying, that he's a big horse, he ran quite well there. I just think they might have had this race in mind for him since he's changed hands. He's actually only £4 higher. Lightly raised profile, course and distance winner, and £4 higher than last year. I was really interested in him for the Ragusa handicap. That's in the 6:15 in the Curragh Saturday.
Brilliant. My best bet comes on Friday, which is the Bashir. I already mentioned him for the Lincolnshire at 6-1. I think he has the ideal profile, lads, and we give our reasons. Of course, Galway winner, 1 over a mile, probably going to be better over further. But on the dam side, look at he's rock solid. I think he's going to progress into a nice type. He's only rated 92 at the moment, and that's Bashir. And also, lads, just keep your money as well for Skeptical next week. Frankie Dettori confirmed on top. Hard luck, I suppose, for Jory Sheridan, lads. But we've had an absolute feast of racing over the last week and a half, and I just have to ask you, before we go, both of you, what was your favourite performance over the last number of days racing Ireland, England? Andrew Blair White, take it away.
Well, actually, now that you say it, it's very hard not to be very impressed by Skeptical. Just the whole story is absolutely brilliant. Picked up for absolute pennies despite being brilliantly bred. And look, he looks to have a very good chance now in a Group 1 at Royal Ascot. And as you say, it is unlucky for Joey Sheridan, but I'm sure there'll be many a good day for him this year on this horse. He's an absolute bullet, and hopefully he can go and run well at Ascot. But he was absolutely sensational on Monday. And
in your eyes, I know we'll be previewing Ascot, but would you be leaning towards your favourite Potash or Skeptical at this stage?
I still would be leaning towards Potash to beat him, to be honest. I think Potash is different world on his day, but Skeptical is a type of horse that if Potash is on one of his off days, I can definitely see him picking up the pieces. I think he's a seriously good horse.
Ronan Groome, favourite performance since racing has returned?
The first one back, Barry, More Beautiful, the filly that won on the first race back at Naas. Just thought she was really good. That was I think she'll go for the Queen Mary next week. Really good there. Good time as well, and I just thought that was the perfect race to get back into action. Impressive performance. I mean, like the form from Ballydoyle has just been unreal, and Jessica Harrington as well. They've just been lighting everything up really, and lots to look forward to.
Lots to look forward to. You mentioned More Beautiful. What about the horse was one of my horses, one of my favourite performances since racing returned today, Chief Little Hawk. First call to run by Air Force Blue, and by God, he looks quick. The two of them, More Beautiful as well, but this guy, he drifted in the betting as well, out to 3-1. This morning he was 6-4. So you were thinking there was a couple of nice types in there. Thought it was a good race, and I think they are bringing him to Ascot. I would be definitely in his camp. And English King, lads, I'm a fan. I'm just going to have to mention it. His time. The algorithm.co.uk, a new time form website, has said that he's the best performance time performance this season based on all, I suppose, distance, allowance, sectionals, everything. 130 versus Cameco at 123. So that just goes to show you. Andrew, I know you're not a big fan of the form, but I just thought he looks perfect Derby type. Beautiful action, hands and heels. Could he have done any more? That's the question I'd ask.
Probably not. No. Look, he's done it very well. I just thought you were getting a bit jumpy at the time, Barry, considering we hadn't seen an Irish horse run yet. But look, geez, he's got a good chance. He looks a lovely horse. Form is okay. It's no world-beating form, but as you say, look, if they'd actually pushed him out properly, he would have won the race by 7 or 8 lengths. So he'd have to have a chance come the Derby.
By Camelot, I have to admit, as I said, I confessed, I took 7s, 8s, anything that was available after the race, and I think he's shortened up in price. So English King wins the Derby, lads. That's my take on it. Lads, thanks very much as well again, and for our fans watching, make sure and subscribe. Click the red button below as well to the YouTube channel for more videos, more previews on Thursdays, and we hope to be doing review shows as well on Mondays after, I suppose, Royal Ascot week. We'll kick one off there. And lads, I suppose best of luck over the weekend for your punting, and let's hope Albigna, I think that was the mutual decision on the podcast this week, wins the Irish 1,000 guineas. We'll talk next week.